Hello there, it's David Duffett here, worldwide community advocate for SignalWire, and joined by Kevin Garabedian today. How are you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing good, Dave. How are you doing?
Pretty good, thank you. Very grateful to be back in the SignalWire podcast studio with you today, Kevin, to look at yet another one of the very helpful sample applications you're whipping up in the series. And I gather today's one is all about requesting a callback. So instead of sitting there in a queue and waiting to talk to customer service or whatever one might be doing, you can just make a request and get a call to you rather than having to waste your time in a queue.
Right. Nobody likes waiting in lines. So we thought it would be great to demonstrate how you could use the platform to either request a callback via a voice or a text. So if you call into a system, you're waiting in line, you might wait 15 to 20 minutes. Now with the craziness in the world, we might be waiting, an hour or 2 hours, possibly if it's a small call center. So you don't want to sit there and wait for it. So this demonstration shows you that you can offer to your customers or whoever you have dialing in to press 1 or some kind of digit, and it'll queue and hold their place in line. And then it'll shoot them a text message telling them their estimated time, and then they'll get a call back on their phone where they can accept it, and it'll bridge to an agent. Now, we took it a step further to even simplify it more by setting it up so you can actually text into the phone number without having to call the company, and it will put you in the queue so you don't have to wait at all. Very simple.
Okay, so two variants. One of them is you're already in the queue and you're getting a bit fed up, so you can dial a digit to invoke this, or you can invoke it via a text message without even getting into the queue in the first place.
Correct, yep.
Great
then
stuff.
It'll drop you into queue, and then you'll get a call back.
All right, that's really good. Kevin, would you like to go ahead and talk us through some of the mechanics of that?
Sure. So these demos were set up, we started with some Python for these ones. So we have them broken up into an environment file, a Python file, and they're set up so they can be containerized into a Docker environment. So there's also a Docker file. Right. I'm going to briefly give you an overview of what the environment file looks like. So, you basically just plug in a couple variables and you'll be off to the races relatively quickly. So I'm going to pop over to the screen right now, and I'm going to go into and open up the environment file. So you can see here, we have it set up. So basically you just fill in 5 variables. You have your SignalWire space, your SignalWire project, and your SignalWire token for authentication for setup. And then you'll have a SignalWire number. This is going to be the number that you will send calls from, and it will be programmed so it will accept calls for processing. So we have some other tutorials on how to provision phone numbers and stuff on our blog and website as well.
Yeah.
The host name is going to be your public-facing IP address or host name of your server that you're running on.
Right.
In my case, I'm running local. So we're just going to leave that blank. I just want to give you an example of what the file looks like. Now we're going to go into the actual code. And all of these projects are commented, so you'll be able to see exactly what each section does. That'll be anything with the pound. Basically, you can see how we set up SignalWire clients. It's very, very simple. We tried to make it nice and clean. It's referencing environment variables anywhere where you see os.environ in Python. So that's going to be grabbing from your environment file that you pre-set up. But basically, all this is doing is setting up route paths using Flask in Python to have endpoints that the web server and the phone number can hit when it makes LAML requests. That's the legacy antiquated markup language that we use. Now, if you go down, you'll see you have an enter queue. You have your wait URL, which handles people on hold. You have your request to callback logic. So it's pretty all much here. It's a notepad size file. Right. And we also left a default route called hello world, so you can make sure your web server is running when you do some testing. There's going to be instructions on how to set this up and provision it in more detail on the blog, so you can go and check it out. And that's it for the sample code. If you want to hop back or have any questions, you can feel free to email me or hit me up on the Slack, and we'll get you moving.
Great stuff. So once again, Kevin, some sample code with great comments that people can go and download and use themselves. Not only will it work in its own right, but they can use it as kind of a springboard to develop further things around that if they'd like to.
Right, exactly. We wanted to give everyone a starting point and show how to get some fundamental things done so they can use them as building blocks to make whatever their heart desires. The tools are there to build anything from a simple tool to a complex call center. So everything's there.
All right, that's great news. Well, thank you very much, Kevin. I will look forward to meeting you for the next one in this series when we'll be discussing yet another sample app.
Sounds good to me. Take care.